Namaskar, my name is Tanvi Khurana and here we are once again on a Friday with another edition of our discussion of Paricharcha. And you're watching us on PMeVIDYA channel number 6 and channel number 11. A lot of discussion is going to happen, but let me tell you what is the topic of discussion for today. It is identifying and addressing various challenges of adolescence. We all know that this age is tricky. This age is sensitive, so we have to deal with adolescents pretty carefully. They go through a lot of physical changes, mental changes, emotional changes. Sometimes they struggle a lot. So here we are with a discussion where we can help them with their struggle, and maybe they can get out of their problems and get the solutions as quickly as possible. So please watch this program on NCERT official. If you have any questions, any queries, you can write down your questions in the chat box and we'll be receiving those questions. It's a panel discussion where we have panel members and they are going to stay with us till 4 o'clock. We have a lot to discuss, and if you will share your questions with us, we'll be taking those questions towards the end of our program. Well, that's not all. There's a lot you can share with us through various mediums. You're also watching us on our Facebook page, which is National Council for Educational Research and Training, that is NCERT. Let me tell you about this program Paricharcha. This is not just a series on mental well-being, but it is also a live phone-in discussion program. And this program Paricharcha is being initiated under the initiative of MANODARPAN by Ministry of Education, Government of India, to give the psychosocial support and mental health and well-being for the students, teachers and even their families. So this is a very important discussion, and if you want to call us on our toll-free number, that would be 844-844-0632. This is a very important initiative where a lot of things happen. If you want to know about this entire initiative, that you can log into our website, which is www.manodarpan.mhrd.gov.in. Now, let me introduce you to our today's panel members and what all they have to say regarding our topic, which is identifying and addressing various challenges of adolescence. So my first guest, let me introduce her. She is none other than Professor Kalpana Venugopal. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Namaskar, thank you.
Namaskar, ma'am. So ma'am is a Professor of Education from Regional Institute of Education, NCERT, Mysuru. And our next guest is Professor S. Ramaa. A very warm welcome to you too, ma'am. So ma'am is the former Dean of Instructions and Professor of Special Education from Regional Institute of Education, NCERT, Mysuru. My next guest is Dr. L. Savitha. Welcome, ma'am.
Namaste and thank you.
Thank you. So ma'am is an educational consultant from Inktank Edu Services, Mysuru. And let me introduce you to our next very important guest, and she is Dr. Bharthi Kulashekara. Welcome, ma'am.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaskar. So, ma'am is a clinical psychologist and practicing counselor from Mysuru. And last but not at all the least, we have with us Mrs. Annapurna Madhuri Kadiyala. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. And she is the Center Coordinator from SMIORE Academy for Teacher Training, Sandur, Bellari. Once again, I welcome all our eminent experts. They have a lot to talk about on this particular topic. So without wasting any more time, let's just begin this discussion and let's understand what is the focus of this entire discussion. And that I would like to ask Professor Kalpana. Ma'am, what are we going to discuss in this entire discussion titled Identifying and Addressing Various Challenges of Adolescence? What is it that we are going to discuss, and how important is this topic for all our viewers, for all our students who are watching this program at this very moment?
Thank you, Tanvi. I'll take this question. Today's topic is concerned with a particular stage of life, that is adolescence. Why is this stage so important? What happens at this stage? Very briefly to put it, the definition of adolescent can differ from culture to culture. It is generally accepted that the time referred to as adolescence is the period between childhood and adulthood. It is mostly referred to also as a threshold, that which you have in between two rooms, a kind of division, which means moving from one phase or stage to another, that is childhood to adulthood, and one has to cross over through adolescence. So it is in between childhood and adulthood. Adolescence is a time in a young person's life where they move from dependency on their parents, their family, their siblings, to independence, more autonomy, more maturity. So the young person begins to move from the family group, being their major social system, to the family taking a lesser role and being a part of a peer group, which becomes their greatest attraction. And that will eventually lead the young person to stand as a successful individual adult. So adolescence itself, if you look at the term, it comes from the Latin word adolescere, meaning to grow into an adult finally. So this stage is commonly termed even as teenage or teenagers, we call them. And it can be divided into three phases, namely early adolescence, middle adolescence, and later adolescence. Early adolescence happens at around 11 years with the onset of puberty. Middle adolescence is at around 13 years, and later adolescence is between 16 to 18 years. So the span is between somewhere around 11 years till around adulthood, which is considered as 18 to 20 years also sometimes. So adolescence is a period that extends over a substantial part of a person's life. It's a critical phase. However, each adolescent may experience individual changes and growth at differing rates, with some moving through the phase of adolescence quicker than others. Each phase of the stage is characterized by development and some changes. So there is growth, there is development, and there are some changes, including biological and psychological development and changes. These developmental changes, along with the transitional changes at this stage, are quite demanding on the individual. So their attitudes and perspectives also change as all these changes happen. No one can deny that for any person facing these kind of changes, in his or her life, biological, cognitive, psychological, social, moral, and spiritual sense, would find this time both to be exciting, at the same time quite daunting or demanding. With the increase in independence at this stage, there comes increase in freedom. But with that freedom comes responsibilities and expectations from the adult world or those adults around them. So this leads to various challenges that adolescents face at this stage. Often the adolescent gets stressed out with these challenges. Like they may feel under pressure, worried, tense, upset, sad, or angry, or maybe a mixture of various uncomfortable feelings also. They may include the pressure of schoolwork, academic work, preparing for examinations, absenteeism without permission, dropping out, poor academic performance, being teased or bullied at school, arguments with teachers and others at school, not willing to obey, fear of being judged, refusing to take part in social activities, peer pressure, social taboos and moral codes that are demanding on them, cyberbullying, issues about physical looks, body shaming, friendship and gender issues, mood swings, loneliness, frustration, and so on. There's a huge list about what goes through and what all they experience at this stage. That is why we are addressing this stage today. So today, through this informative session, we are going to know and understand about the various challenges that adolescents face and how best these challenges can be addressed so that they will be able to handle it better and lead a better, productive and happy life. We have categorized these challenges for our convenience today as academic challenges, physical challenges, social challenges and emotional challenges, and each expert here will take it up one at a time where they will discuss what are the challenges that are there and how best to address these challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. So let's take this forward, and there are so many challenges that our students, these adolescents face, be it a physical challenge, be it social challenge, be it mental challenge, and there are various others. So we are here to discuss a few, and like ma'am mentioned that adolescents students, they face challenges, and one of them is academic challenge. Let me ask our next expert, and she is Dr. Savitha. Savitha ma'am, can you tell us that what exactly is academic challenge, and how is the right method? What is the right method to address it in front of others?
Thank you for the question, Tanvi. I've been an academician for the last 28 years working with children. And when it comes to the adolescents, this is something that we notice in order to diagnose and find out if this is an academic challenge. As Professor Kalpana already said, students dropping out, not showing interest, lack of concentration, and not able to do their work on their own. If there's a project given, there's any work to be done, they lack the confidence and the skills to complete such work. As a result of which, they also have a poor self-esteem, and these students start scoring very poor grades. When they score very poor grades, they're not interested to come back to school or actively participate in the school. So there could be various reasons for such things to happen. See, actually speaking, we cannot compartmentalize these and say this is only academic problem or social. Many a times we feel that these are intertwined and one results to the other. But when it comes to the academic issues, I would like to focus on this because in my experience, I've noticed the major flaws in children and why they develop the academic challenges and how we can address. So today, basically, I would like to talk about two major aspects. One is, what are those things that children should have in order to do academically well? So the first thing I would like to talk about is, what are those things that we should study? And in most of the schools, we start victimizing these children, saying they're not good at studying. In the parent-teacher meetings, they are kind of labeled as a dull head. Parents are called, and in front of everybody, they are kind of shown very low. And unfortunately, we don't try to find out what is the problem. Diagnosis is not done, especially for academic, because teachers are busy with a lot of stuff. So here today, let us look at what are some of those areas of academic difficulties or the challenge. See, the first thing I feel which our students are lacking, especially all over India, when you see the SMIORE report of 2017 also, it talks of only 43 students having the ability to do basic division operations in secondary school, only 43%. And the same is true of the language ability. Now, if a student is not good at language, is not efficient with the language, the child suffers in all subjects, be it math, science, social, because language is one medium which is required for the student to complete. So, and then also we see that these children are pushed over a period of time. So from first standard, second, third, fourth, fifth. So there is no onus taken about the child learning gap. There are teachers who pass the child. It's like a baton being passed on from one teacher to the other. So these children move on with a lot of learning gaps, and that is not addressed. So as a result of which, the prerequisite skills that children should have. Like for example, if children have to be able to do trigonometry or some algebra, if they are not even clear with the concept of numbers, the concept of calculation, if their accuracy is a challenge, then how would they be able to do that? So looking at the prerequisite skills, have they acquired the prerequisite skills? Then sometimes children with very poor handwriting, if their handwriting is pathetic, illegible. So as a result of which they're not even able to express themselves. And then many students have a problem with planning their work, how to study. Whenever parents scold them, no, why don't you go and study, stop watching TV? What do? They take a textbook, start first word, first line. They just go on reading. By the end of the session, you ask them, what did you learn? The instruction we as teachers and parents give is, go and study. We've never taught them, focused on learning, which is more important than study. So children have basically not been taught how to learn. See, when they don't know how to learn, they struggle. And I want all of you to pause here and just reflect on this question I want to put across. Many parents come and talk to us and say, ma'am, till grade 2, grade 3, my child is doing very well. He used to get A and A plus and was the topper in the class. What happened after that? Grade 3, 4, 5, and then they come to B grade, C grade, D grade, finally secondary school. They are in a condition where we don't know how to do it. Have we come across this? This is a common sight in most of the schools, most of the homes. This is because we haven't taught children independent learning skills. So we have always spoon-fed them. So after grade 6 or 7, the parents feel that it's too much for them to teach. They don't know how to teach. They start withdrawing. The child is left in the lurch. Does not know how to learn on his or her own. So lack of study techniques, lack of management skills. And then we also have to look at the speed and accuracy that the child should have developed. In academics, it's very important to focus on speed and accuracy as children come to higher grades. So that is not there. And one major bane I am seeing as a principal, we struggle with this with many schools is children not able to analyze a question, to understand a question. They know all the content. There's a lot of content transaction happening, but unfortunately, analyzing a question, knowing how to actually present it is a big challenge. And today's children, due to various reasons, are also not able to work in the school. So if these are some of the academic challenges, how do we actually address these challenges? Now, if we have to address these challenges, what is that as parents and teachers we need to do? And I would only say a child who is suffering from academic issues is only a victim. It's not the child's problem alone. It's also the problem of the system, the problem of the school and the society not giving the right kind of impetus to the child. So here, what is that we have to do in order to address these academic issues? So if we have to address these academic issues right from the lower grade or wherever we know, it's important that we ask the owners, we give the owners of learning to the child. Many a time, we don't even allow the child to kind of reflect on what the child is learning. Study, study, study. If the child is sitting in front of a book, that does not guarantee learning. So do we have the right approach to learning developed in children? So some simple techniques I would like to tell you on how to address these academic challenges. One important thing is having the child take the responsibility of learning. And first have these major questions answered. What am I supposed to learn? If I'm going to learn in the next 30 minutes, what should I learn? Then why should I learn this? How is it going to help me? Then how should I learn this? What should I be able to do at the end of it? And then when should I do this? See, now we actually have to make the child a part of the learning process, not just be a kind of audience in the learning process. So making the child experience it, take the responsibility. And then how many of us really focus on helping the child become independent learner? Unfortunately, learning is not given much importance as much as teaching is given. So when children know how to learn on their own, they will find out their style. See, not all of us are the same. Some of us are visual. We learn best by watching something. Then some of us are auditory. We learn best when we listen to something. And then a few of us are kinesthetic. We enjoy doing something and learning. So in all these things, there are senses involved. The senses need to be activated. But here what we are doing is predominantly in Indian schools, we cater mostly to auditory learners or sometimes to the visual. So if there can be opportunities provided to children to learn through their learning styles, then if there is a child who is visual, you underline something, you have a sketch, you kind of create a visual representation of what you've done. Then the child enjoys learning. It's not going to become a burden for the child to keep learning, cramming, memorizing. So have we taught children those techniques that will help the child learn independently and enjoy learning? It's more important to enjoy learning. But here, if the students at lower grades, or in the middle school, are taught how to make their own mind map, concept map, end of every chapter, if they are able to symbolically represent something, visual representation of the learning that they have experienced, it's very easy for them to revise, for them to reproduce that whenever it's due. And then there is this traffic signal. There is this technique called traffic signal. It is the green, orange, and red light. Now, if children are taught to analyze themselves, their work, how they are preparing, teach children these simple techniques. If I am doing something which is not yielding any result, it says red, stop doing that. It's useless. We're wasting time. And then when there is something that you are not doing, you know that if you do that, you're going to improve, it is orange. Start doing something. And if you know that something that you're already doing, it's yielding results, continue doing it. It is green. So all these will happen only when the child is taught techniques, or sometimes children themselves develop these techniques, and then they are able to wonderfully do well after a certain period of time. And very important is to teach children or to enable them to assess their learning. See, if they are able to learn on their own. So thanks to NEC, it is now talking of plugging all these gaps that we see in us. So students are supposed to have self-learning modules where they learn on their own, they assess themselves, they analyze their performance, and also work on an individual improvement plan for them. So if we don't pass on the pattern to the child, instead of just giving it to a teacher and then saying, and I really feel sorry for those parents when they're called during the PTM. Your child is not doing well. What would a parent do? If the parent knew how to handle the child, how to help the child academically or whatever, then there would be no necessity for school. So I think it's very important for us to not just diagnose the problem, but also help the child become independent in self-analysis. I can be the best person to help myself. So if this has to happen, we just have to have patient hearing, analyzing the problem of the child, helping the child to kind of develop strategies. And see, memory today, our examinations are completely based on the memory ability, the ability to recall and reproduce. But then there are so many children who are not able to do that. There can be simple techniques like the mnemonics. Children could be given small strategies where they remember, they are able to recall it. So if these strategies can be borne in mind, if students can be empowered to look at how they are learning, where are the gaps, where I need to improve, then this will really help children to face the challenges that they go on coming across in their academic endeavor. Because when they go to the colleges, the universities, they can no longer say the lecturer did not teach them. Today, many children have this complaint. The question is out of syllabus. The question was twisted. Right? We come across this. Whenever they are not able to perform, the problem is always on the paper that the blame is there. Why is that? Because there's only one approach to learning. Unfortunately, the importance is not given to learning meaningfully. When the student is able to learn meaningfully, make sense out of what the student has learned, then you tweak the question, you throw the question in whatever form or level, child will be able to answer it very well. And more importantly, I would only say that at this stage in life, students, that is the adolescents, especially when they are entering the secondary stage, it's important for us to make sure that they become very, very independent in their life. It's not important to kind of force them to score marks, sending them to tuition centers, coaching centers. And today we see that there are students dropping out of IIT also. There are students not able to complete their courses. Why is that? So they're no longer able to enjoy their course. They're only being pushed in the rat race to enter Western cities. So if adolescents have to be given the right training or approach to academics, I would only say that it's important that we as practitioners become reflective on our practice. As parents, it's important to help the child, analyze the problem, find solutions to the problem, and last but not the least, let's not spoon feed the child, because that's going to be very detrimental for the students in the long run. So with these words, I would like to thank you all for this opportunity to connect.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for pinpointing the challenges and then also discuss the various solutions. So like you said, it's very important for students to be independent and discuss their problems, and parents' role is here to help those children and find the solutions together. So that will be very helpful for the students. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us in detail, telling us, actually informing us what exactly is academic challenges that adolescents face. Moving on to the next kind of challenges, that is physical challenges. And I would like to request my next guest, and she is Mrs. Annapurna Madhuri. Ma'am, now would you like to tell us what are the physical challenges faced by adolescents, and also how to address them, how to overcome them? Any tips, any methods you would like to suggest?
Yeah, thank you, Tanvi ma'am, for the question. And I would like to add on to what Savitha ma'am had said. So she started with the academic problems, and somewhere these academic problems have a root in their the physical pressures that the adolescents go through. So first, let us understand what adolescence is, and Kalpana ma'am has really very beautifully put it all together. A very beautiful introduction of what exactly is adolescence and what the children go through when they are in this phase of life. See, this is a very rapid phase and often comes with a lot of confusion. So the order of development during the adolescence is universal. It is like same for all the children, but the timing and the speed differs for the individuals. So the physical changes during adolescence are also influenced by the individual factors of the children. For example, like any kind of chronic illnesses or malnutrition, family history, and also the external environment like the family structure, the environment in which they are brought up, their family history, and the societal background in which they are living, the schooling. All this have an influence on the way the child looks at himself or herself during adolescence. So similar factors also may have varying effects on different individuals, the girls and the boys. So the early onset of puberty in girls as compared to boys is also something which is concerning for them. So the phase comes with a variety of changes in the body and poses a lot of physical challenges. The changes in the height, acquisition of body mass, the distribution of fat, and development of secondary characters. These are a few challenges. So we can go to the next slide. So the phase comes with a variety of changes in the body, and therefore it is too much of concerning for the children. Children do not know how to even express this. The main problem is that they know something is happening, but they do not know what is happening. Is it normal, or it is happening only with me? So there's a lot of confusion among the children. So moving on, we'll talk about the common concerns that adolescents usually have. Next slide. So basically, these are related to the time and phase. So there could be too early developments in some children and delayed developments in some children. So children become more conscious of it. The body image is something which is of a greater concern. Being little chubby also is a problem, and being too skinny is also a problem. And then we also promote those superficial role models through our cartoons and all, where children feel that we have to be look like that. So nutrition and exercise, the way their eating patterns, the healthy eating habits, and the regular exercise. See, when the children are young, like before pre-adolescence and the childhood, they play a lot. We give them time to play a lot and they are running about here and there. But suddenly when the adolescence phase comes in, children and to some extent the elders also tell the children do not run around so much. And somehow the physical activity gradually reduces. The exercise which they used to have earlier, that comes down, and the energy levels are there in the children and the energy is not properly utilized. Then sleep patterns are another concerning issues, where the children may tend to sleep for very less time or sleep for more time, and this brings in a lot of mood swings and all. Skin, hair and body odor issues are too much prevalent among the adolescents. Height issues are there and other gender specific issues. So we will be looking at each one of them one by one, and we'll also find how to manage each of the problem. So moving on to the next slide. So first one, the first concern we'll talk about is the early or the delayed development. So when development in children happens, for some it happens earlier, for some it is little bit delayed, for some it is little more delayed. So in either cases, children get teased by their friends, bullied by their friends, and early maturing boys, they tend to be more independent. They make less friends and they stay isolated. They feel the other children of their age, since they are maturing earlier than the others, they feel that these other friends are not up to their mark or some feelings, and they isolate themselves. They become little more reserved. This is quite normal. Similarly in the girls, so early maturing girls, they are bullied. More often these the early maturing girls become more kind of a caretakers, and they start like mothering their friends also at times. So this is something because of which the girls get bullied. And how can we manage this? So we have to reassure to the children that the changes are very normal. Everyone goes through the phase, and these changes occur to everyone, but at different times. So we need to talk to them when we as elders, as caregivers, as teachers, we need to talk to them when we see the children withdrawn or upset. So what are the reasons which are upsetting them? Are they really of concern? And how much are they reacting to the concerns? We need to look at this. And if need be, we have to consider professional help. That is, in the extreme situations where the problem looks very large, it would be advisable to seek good professional help. We have lot many counselors and people dealing with this adjustment issues related to children. So next we go to the body image. So children, especially adolescents, tend to notice all the people around, compare themselves with the others in relation to their height, their weight, the body fat, the muscle mass. And there's some amount of self-consciousness is normal when it comes in. But when this whole thing becomes so much that the child isn't able to handle it, it is blown too much out of proportion. They force themselves to look like someone, to behave like someone else, and this might be detrimental to their individuality, to the way their personality is shaping. And this makes them constantly feel unhappy and dissatisfied with their appearance. So they do not want to even accept themselves as they are. So that is the starting point where they start developing a hatred for themselves. They believe in some other standards and try to live up to those standards, and that is too much of a heavy work for the children when it comes to working on themselves. So as elders, how do we need to help them? So we need to help them gain a sense of healthy sense of body image, highlight their strengths and inculcate positive traits in them. We have to also deliberately teach them that being kind, generous, compassionate, hardworking and helpful is far more important than how they look, and this has nothing to do with their body. We also have to model and appreciate our own body, because children often look and see us and learn. Not they do not learn what we tell them. They often watch us, observe us, and learn from us. So we need to model to appreciate the body. We have to also tell them to be thankful about it. We have to tell them, in spite of all my imperfections, I love myself and I accept myself as I am. And these imperfections which I carry within me are something which are my individual traits, and that makes me different from the others, and I am okay with that. So if we could model this, the body shaming part could be taken care of in a lot of adolescents. Next is, this is a very concerning issue. Next, when we talk about the nutrition and exercise. So suddenly, as the teenage occurs, because of so many influences, the children change their eating habits. I've even heard children talking about following a vegan diet or following a keto diet. And I mean, for the children, they are just in the phase of development. They need not even think about all this. So all this, their eating habits change, and also the physical activity changes. So they may suddenly become choosy about their diet, reduce their physical activity and exercise. This could be because of the increasing academic pressure on them. This could be because of the increasing social pressure on them, because of the physical issues where they are not able to connect to other children. So suddenly they stop going out to play with their friends. They start staying at home more of the time. So staying at home more of the time in this era means more of the screen time, or sitting at one place and constantly watching something. So this brings in a lot of, again, unhealthy eating habits. They constantly have to eat something. So suddenly they remember that I'm eating too much, and then they stop eating completely. So all these definitely have a bearing on the growth and development of the children. So all these are the signs of unhealthy lifestyle, skewed body image, and leading to nutritional problems. Most of the children develop the iron deficiency or the calcium deficiency and things like that, and they remain they feel weak all the time. They feel tired all the time, and they are not able to give in to the work as much as they are expected or they want to give in. So how do we handle this? We need to talk to them. What are healthy food habits? What are unhealthy food habits? We can give them a cheat day, and on which they can eat any kind of junk food. But on the other days, they have to follow a strict, proper, and a wholesome diet. So the junk food has to be restricted by any means. Regular exercise and sport, eating on time, not just eating any time in the day. So keeping time slots 4 times a day or 5 times a day, and eating as much properly. And more important is drinking a lot of water. Children tend to just evade, or just they don't want to drink water. And reasons for that is they need to use the washroom if they drink more water. Some children even say that. But this should not be a reason why children are not drinking water, and then encourage our children to participate in sports, go out and play, breathe the fresh air and things like that. So next we come to the sleep patterns. Now again, as the onset of adolescence, children tend to extend their sleep time just like that. I mean, they want to sit with the parents, or maybe they want to watch the TV, or some reasons they say, and they extend their time of what time they sleep, and it gets extended. So they do not sleep early, so they cannot wake up early, but we wake them up early because they have to go to school. So the number of hours they require the rest and the sleep definitely reduces. And this inadequate quality sleep makes them not stay focused in the class. They are constantly feeling sleepy, or they are thinking about something else and things like that. So we need to help them to understand that they have to sleep for 8 hours a day, and this is compulsory for them. So other things can wait, but sleep has to be for 8 hours a day. So supervise their screen time, and see that the screens are away at least 1 hour before they go to bed. They stick to the regular, every day they sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time, irrespective of the holidays. So because it is Sunday, they want to wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning. So this cannot be like really entertained. We need to tell them that even on Sundays, you have to get up at the time you are getting up every day. So relaxing activities, we need to tell them to take a warm shower or listen to relaxing music or meditate before they sleep, read some book, and then educate them that high quality sleep can help them stay focused during the day. And therefore, it is very important that they sleep well and sleep for a proper time, not oversleep or not even undersleep. So next, moving to the other issues where the children have issues with their skin, hair, body odor, and things like that. So acne, pimples, strong body odor, these are all a result of the glands that are activated by the hormones that are hormones producing more oil during the teenage. So these can result in oily hair, oily skin, sweat all the time, and strong body odor. So we need to educate the children about personal hygiene, teach them and model them how to maintain good personal hygiene, have regular bath, preferably at least twice a day, use deodorant when they go out, and seek medical help to treat acne. Otherwise, general acne and pimples can be treated like over-the-counter medicines. Our creams are available. But if it is too much, then it is advisable to seek medical help to get away with the skin problems, so that the child's self-confidence and self-esteem increase. Next is the height issues, which is very, very prominent among all the adolescents. So the height of an individual, we have to tell them. Let's go to the next slide. So when the children are growing, some grow very fast and there is some slow growth in the others. So height, we have to tell the children that height is a result of many, many other factors like height of the parents, the general height of the family, the quick and the slow process of growth, delayed onset of puberty. All these also have a bearing on their height. And these are very much specific to the individual and nothing to be worried about. This is quite normal. Girls normally grow faster than the boys, and their growth also stops before the boys' growth stops. So we need to normalize these differences and even know that even they even out in due course of time. It will all become normal and similar for the girls and the boys. So this is something which is very, very concerning for the children, and we need to talk to them about this. Shying away from all this is not going to help. And finally, a last word about the role of the parents. Like this goes for all the elders also. So next slide. So when we talk, we need to talk to the children, take them into confidence, reassure to them that the concerns related to their physical changes are very, very normal. Everyone goes through it, and even we have been through it. So it's normal, and be patient. Things will sort out on their own. Second is we have to validate their feelings. See, the process may be normal for us, but the anxiety is real. So the children are anxious about things. They are confused about things. So we need to validate their anxiety and confusion, and also tell them that this is normal. Even the anxiety is normal, but it can still be handled. We need not get carried away by that anxiety and get worried about it. So we also need to help them to know the facts about growth and development, how the growth and development happens, and what are the facts, the differences between the boys and the girls, the individual differences in the growth and development, and all these things. We need to talk to them. And finally, we as parents, elders have to be calm and very, very patient, show unconditional presence to them. We have to tell them that we are unconditionally with you, support them, and also acknowledge and accept them as they are. And to finally, on top of all this, if there is a need, please seek professional help. This is going to be of use to the children. So with that, I think I have discussed all the challenges that children face during adolescence, particularly at the physical level.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So
you have discussed all the challenges that adolescents face, the physical challenges, and that's a very difficult time for the children. And lastly, when you mentioned the parents' role in it, that how they can help, support, and make them understand that these are very normal changes and everyone goes through. So that was beautiful. The entire conversation was very beautiful. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us all the details regarding the physical challenges that are faced by adolescents during a particular stage. So let's move on to further challenges, and we have social challenges. And for that, let me invite our next guest, and she is Dr. Bharthi Kulashekara. Ma'am, would you like to please discuss what are the social challenges faced by adolescents and how can we address them or how can we overcome them? Any tips from your side, ma'am?
Thank you, Madam. See, as everybody is talking, everybody is discussing, the adolescent stage looks as if it has got a lot of challenges. So social challenge is not an exception. Number of social challenges crop in the period of adolescence. The social contacts of a person normally expand from infancy to maturity. It is not only during adolescence, and we face social challenges in every stage of development. For example, in infancy, a child's social contacts are only with one person, that is mother. From the early childhood onwards, the mother-child relationship normally expands as the child comes into contact with father and other members of the family. So when the child moves outside the family circle, the child establishes contact with other children of his own age. And then when the child takes admission in the school, the peer group expands, because now the child is free to choose. So that is where the social challenges come. Free to choose his own friends and associates. Then the child meets the teacher, and the same child enters adolescence. He becomes part of the gang. Whatever be the stage of development, you just cannot avoid social challenge. And then adolescence is such a stage of development which produces a number of problems for the person as such. But these adolescence adjustment with today I would like to take only 4 major areas as far as social challenges are concerned. The first one is family, then the school, associates of their own gender or sex, and associate with other sex. These are the 4 arenas normally the adolescents face social challenges. When it comes to parents, how are they going to pose a challenge to their own children? That is very interesting. During adolescent years, the boys and girls tend to develop interests for groups outside the family. We all know that. The youngsters commonly have misgivings about the changes that are taking place in their interests. On the other hand, they feel joy in being dependent upon their parents and another. The experiences with their peers are also pleasant. This is the confusion they have. The peer group attracts them with a greater force because it offers them esteem and status, which is either lacking in the family or, not got there at all. So parents generally complicate the problem. I don't want to generalize, but in general, they complicate by placing demands on the adolescent sons and daughters. How, when they come to know that the relationship between them and the children is about to change, when they find that the children are becoming more rebellious, less responsive, and less involved in the life of the family, they really feel threatened. Each and every parent has to go through this. And every father and mother thinks that, no, their children, are a psychological extension of themselves. And when the adolescent slips along into the outside world, they feel that they're losing them. That is the exact feeling. And as the adolescent becomes more and more independent, and they don't want so much care, direction, and attention by parents, which parents still think necessary for his existence and well-being. These conflicts go on and go on throughout the adolescent development period. The emotionally insecure parents, they are unable to face and accept the fact. The adolescent may feel the need of parent love, care, and attention, but at the same time, the same adolescent is so proud of himself or herself that they don't want to accept these things. So he looks upon any form of dependence as a sign of weakness. If I am dependent on parents, then I am weak. So this is how exactly an adolescent thinks. And this is the reason why there is a conflict going on between the adolescent and his parents. So the conflict is of the approach avoidance type. It is so because he wants love and direction, but at the same time wants to be strong and self-sufficient enough. It doesn't mean that he love and direction. This is the dilemma. The adolescent normally resolves such a conflict by making decisions which are not in his interest and defends them stubbornly and rebelliously. So this is how they develop that rebel trait. And we all know the loyalties of the adolescents are now divided between family and the peer group. They don't know whom to be more loyal. This division definitely causes tension and anxieties in both adolescent and the parent, and it creates a lot of difference between him and his parents. The struggle that goes on within the adolescent is seldom known to most of the parents. There is no need for me to explain it. The struggle is caused by his attempt to live in accordance with a double standard composed of the expectations of the parents and those of his associates. That's what we call it as peer influence and peer pressure. So how are we going to solve these social challenges, posed by the parents? So social problems which have a root in the relationship between an adolescent and his parents arise because both don't understand each other sympathetically. That's what I would say. The parents believe in the efficacy of greater control. And the adolescent wants more independence, but he also wants his parents to tell him what to do. The parents want to give them more direction and control, but at the same time require him to think and act for himself. That is what I phrased it as double standards. And there is dilemma, and the inconsistency is not soluble, and therefore it creates difficulty in both. So what could be the real practical solution to this is the mutual problem should be discussed by the parents and adolescents very frankly. It is very unfortunate that whenever the two parties try to clarify the issues through discussions, heated arguments will happen, and each one of them defend their own viewpoint. So this should not be done. The conflicts and the challenges should be discussed frankly. The adolescent who is in conflict with the family, normally tries to seek social satisfaction outside the home. Then also we are worried as parents, but he does get sufficient success in his attempt. He is more detached with the family. If he wants to become successful outside the family, he should have emotional support and acceptance within the family. Then he will not look for it outside the family circle. This could be the only solution for such social challenge posed by his or her own parents. Then the second area would be school. The average adolescent tries to run away from home. So where will he go? Where will he or she go? So though economically and vocationally he is yet not able to leave the home, so the adolescent has to go to school. So it is the school where he can be away from home for a particular length of time in the day, and that should be a pleasant and satisfactory experience. Other than home, an adolescent doesn't have any other place to go. It is in the school also where he can mix with associates in the study hall, in the classroom, in the playground, and on the street. If the school doesn't organize social gatherings and don't create such an environment, definitely the adolescent will not find the school a satisfactory place. Consequently, he becomes a truant, neither here nor there. And if the school wants the adolescent, be very joyful, satisfactory, having pleasure and happiness, it should organize social activities within the premises. We need to give more importance to socialization. Equal importance, rather, I would say more important than the academic activities. Social activities are also equally important. These activities, if they are wisely directed, tend to develop social maturity in the adolescents. That is how we are going to help them in the school environment. Maximum participation in curriculum activities like evening games, sports, plays, dramatics, and student meetings and all, it improves their social skill. So this is how this can be resolved. And with their own sex, with their own gender, there are some social challenges that an adolescent normally go through. A boy belonging to upper class or higher caste family not like to mix with one of lower class family. This we have seen in the classroom environment because he is from a better socio-economic status. That adolescent doesn't want to mix with an adolescent who is from a lower socio-economic status. Why is a particular boy not popular or popular? Why does an adolescent like a particular category, not others? These are some problems raised when the adolescent tries to mix with associates of his own gender. So long as the adolescent, so long as that individual is a child, they don't have all these problems. Children of different socio-economic status work and play with each other. They don't have any status issue, but the social distance increases normally in adolescence. So that is what studies is. Upper class adolescents, they don't want to make friendship with boys with lower class. So this we have seen in the society, who are not popular, who do not belong, and who are occasional. So it is strange to find isolate everywhere. So naturally they become very rebellious. They feel like they are rejected, and they become quarrelsome and unduly sensitive. On the other hand, those who are seem to be cheerful, humorous, and lively, part of the community is sad even in adolescence. So how are we going to manage this problem? So the before that, with the other sex, how are they going to create social challenges? We all know adolescence is the stage when interest in the other sex is developed. It is also a normal part of development as a result of certain physical developments. We just cannot deny it. And they try to learn about sex from each other. Often they do help each other, but such help is fraught with difficulties. Hence, there is a need for sex at this stage. It is the stage when the youngsters try to discover the other sex. And at first, the boys and girls do not know what to make of each other and how to get along with each other. So all these explorations are done during adolescence. The boy now sees different person from what she was when both of them were of 12 years of age. And then if he doesn't achieve a satisfactory adjustment to the other sex, definitely when the adolescent, he grows up into an adult, he or she will have difficulties in marriage, so he may have other social problems also. And the individuals who cannot establish happy relations with the other sex may withdraw from other associates. They are withdrawn totally. If they become too much interested in it, then also there is a problem. It causes a scandal. If the adolescent boy withdraws from association with girls, he will become mentally unhealthy. So marriage becomes either impossible or likely to be unhappy for the introverted youngsters. So we will have to think about the future also. When we don't address these social challenges healthily at this particular stage, it is a lifelong damage we are making with that adolescent. And adolescent girls, they try to attract adolescent boys. The increasingly do thing which may catch and sustain the attention of other sex. They are more active because of the earlier sex maturity. This we have been, seeing in educational institutions. Many girls who of their own age, sexually not so mature and responsive, try to seek attention from older boys. Again, this poses a challenge to the school and the family. As sex maturity among boys and girls occurs at a different stage. So in a complicated and rapidly changing social situation, the adolescent finds it difficult to make social adjustment with the other sex. So what is the solution to this? The only solution could be like education and social maturity. The teachers, as far as possible, guide the adolescent facing social problems. Will have to understand the social liabilities and assets. The teacher has to find out the relationship between the adolescent on one hand, with his parents on the other hand, and then again with the peer group and the school on the other. These are the four major areas in which an adolescent goes through a lot of social challenges. We need to understand, first of all, the background of the adolescents before addressing this issue. We will have to make an appraisal of their social status. We cannot lay a common uniform plan for every adolescent. We will have to plan a broad social program so that it meets need of all the adolescents. We will have to somehow, formally or informally, the social psychology, directly or indirectly, we will have to teach them. The first step in helping the adolescents to achieve social maturity is to gather information about his settings and backgrounds. It is therefore necessary for the teacher basically has to find out whether or not a particular adolescent takes part in social activities. We will have to keep an eye on that, keep a note on that, whether he or she belongs to a particular team, a society, or a council, early or late maturing. All these things we will have to keep under consideration and address all these problems. We will have to investigate as parents and teachers. We need to look into all these aspects and dimensions and then guide the adolescent properly so that in future, when he grows up into an individual adult, would be able to address the social challenges he or she is going to face at that particular developmental stage. That is what I would say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for letting us know what are the social challenges that are faced by adolescents. And like one of the points you mentioned, that both the genders, they try to know each other. They try to explore the other gender, and they try to talk or read a lot, and that's one of the good things. But then when they overstep it, there's a scandal. So they have to be very careful. And in there, as a society, our role is to check them, to keep a track of it, and cover all the aspects and dimensions, and take care of our adolescents that are around them. Okay, so
Exactly.
yes. So thank you so much, ma'am, once again for making all the social challenges clear, and also how to address them. That's one of the things that very important when it comes to the challenges we are discussing here. Moving on to the next type of challenges. So far we have discussed academic challenges, physical challenges, and social challenges. But there's one more category which is still left, and that is emotional challenges. What are those emotional challenges that are faced by adolescents, and how can we address them? So I would request our next expert. She is Professor S. Ramaa. Ma'am, would you like to tell us all about it, please? Ramaa ma'am?
Okay, thank you. So, in fact, the development takes place holistically, integrated, as even in the introduction, Professor Kalpana told, that only for the sake of our own convenience that we are discussing different aspects of development, it doesn't mean it is taking place. So, whatever the panelists already discussed, that is about the academic problems, social problems, physical problems. In fact, even the intellectual, the cognitive, that is the challenges, everything is going to influence the emotion. In fact, during adolescence, the development of the emotion, the main purpose is to establish a kind of coherent and also realistic identity. So that even many psychologists like Erik Erikson told that during this phase that there will be identity versus role confusion. So what is more important is that we have to understand how that identity will develop. See first slide please. So in the identity, so when we talk about that, you can say, as I told, that whatever the identity they develop, that it should be realistic and also coherent. That means that there is a continuity. So that is what we say, whatever the individual has developed so far, a kind of concept about himself, so that there should be continuity. And also during this phase, the major challenges are that is various stress, strain, strife, storm. We say that is adolescence is a period of 4 S. So how to cope with the stress? That is also one of the important thing. For some individuals, these processes are long term issues. So that unless the adolescence, which is a transition period between childhood and adulthood, that there is proper emotional development, that is going to affect future development also. From that point of view, that we have to understand emotional development in detail. Next slide, please. So here, when we talk about that is the identity, next slide, there are two aspects. So that here it is just to give the enthusiasm, the patriotism, and even the emotion, that physical energy, whatever it is. So during this period, identity with the nation, identity with the community, identity with the family, identity with the institution, everything is important. That's why I just took it like that. So when we say that is a sense of identity, that here when we talk about identity, it's not only the present perception about self and also possible self. So what will be the future development the individual is going to have? That means it has got self-concept as well as self-portrait. Both the things are important. So how the individual is understanding about himself at present on the basis of his past experience, the feedback that he has got from the other people, the achievement that he is having, and also his physical status and academic status, social status, everything, that he is what kind of beliefs that he is going to develop, what are the attributes that he think about himself, what are his roles and goals, interests, values and beliefs. So that is very important. And also self-esteem is another important thing, how that individual is going to evaluate himself, that he has got certain attributes, but whether he values them. So many times that is at the adolescents, they may give importance to some of the attributes they have, ignoring other things. For example, a student is interested in scoring very high marks and getting into some kind of a profession. So he may be having several other talents in sports field or art field or any other kind of thing that he may not value. So his concentration is only on academic performance. If he is not able to do, he will develop that is inferiority complex. That's why that when we talk about self-esteem, whatever may be the strengths we are having, whether that we are going to give importance to that or not, that is very important. Next slide, please. So here that when I told that these two things are important, so how that is all the adolescents are trying to achieve that is identity on the basis of certain experiences, and also that each and every individual experiment in their life, and also it will be unique. So that we are talking about adolescence in general, there may be universally or in our Indian context or anything, but at the same time that we have to see that individuals are different. So that individuality, what is the self-assertion? So that as we already understood, there will be pressure or some expectation from the parents, that there will be social pressure, institutional pressure. How long that, to what extent an adolescent is going to assert himself what he wants to become. And the separatedness in the sense that he has to become the part of the system at the same time that he has to be different. He has to see that himself as an independent entity, and the connectedness, that how that is going to connect himself with other people, and also that how that he can understand others' point of view, and ethnic and cultural group membership, and also the gender. Usually they say for females that in our country context, it is somewhat complex to that is develop some kind of emotional and behavioral, that is the identity, because of even now that there is some kind of gender discrimination, many other kinds of things. Slowly that they are trying to establish their identity. Okay, next slide, please. So here, as I already told, that it is not the self-concept that is there in the present, even at the portrayal, self-portrayal, what he wants to become. It may be an ideal self, or in what we expect if a person is normal, he should be more realistic. But anyway, that he is going to portray himself what he wants to become, the desired career path. So everybody has to achieve that their own career that goals, and also some religious beliefs also, that is part and parcel of every individual's development, social and intimate relationships. So unless that they have good relationship, that may affect later, and even sexual and gender identity, that what we expect from each individual as a particular gender, and also cultural and ethnic identity. And the individuals are having certain personality traits that may be strengths and weaknesses, how that he can utilize, and also physical body image, as already discussed during Madhuri, about the physical, that unless they accept their own body, that it will be difficult for them to have a development. Okay, next slide, please. So here, when we talk about that some of the other characteristics, as already told, that they are having emotional swings. So this is the stage of storm and stress. So because that it may be due to hormonal changes, or it may be due to that is the environmental issues. So hormone may be that is for everybody. What is more important is the environment. They're having some kind of, sometimes they may be very low in their mood, sometimes they may be top of the world. There will be a lot of changes are there. But what is the reason for that? They cannot point it out why that sometimes they're gloomy, why sometimes. So even for others also, they're not in a position to understand the reasons behind their emotional swing. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so that after understanding the portrait and other things, we say that is self-esteem. So that is actually, this is very, very important, the emotional status of the individual that influence the self, that esteem, so either positively or negatively. So that means it's also that is influenced by comments and the feedback given by the parents and peer groups. So that the children, in fact, adolescents are more sensitive to the feedback and also the comments, that they will take it very seriously, and also that reflect upon themselves. that during this period they can develop that is reasoning, at the same time the reflection. They can even do introspection. Through introspection and that is reflection, they also can develop their own image and try to assess themselves. So all these things that have an important role in developing the individual. And if a person is having high self-esteem, that shows that the person is having a positive emotional development. On the other hand, those who are having emotional traumas, due to various reasons, they will have low self-esteem. So now let us try to understand what are the that is characteristics of the individuals who are having low self-esteem. So the individual, the adolescent who is having low self-esteem, that he feels depressed, and also he is lacking energy, and he is disliking one's own appearance and rejecting compliments, even if others are trying to tell them you are good looking, you are appealing, that they don't want to accept it. So that they reject it because they are not valuing themselves, their looks. So it can happen in an obese girl, or that is a short boy, or some other the color complexion, most of the things. Now it is there. The social model that is there. Sometimes they consider that something which is a faulty model, rather than that is related to our own genetic or cultural. They may even imbibe certain things as model from that Western countries. All that also make them feel unhappy about themselves and feeling insecure or inadequate most of the time. So they are worried. So what will be their future? And they feel that they are not able to solve the problems of the future. And they have sometimes unrealistic expectation of oneself. They want to do something beyond their capability. So that when there is a gap between their own expectation and also their achievement, that also pulls them down many times. And having serious doubts about the future, there will be some uncertainty. Even you take, for example, the pandemic situation. So we are still, it is there, and even every day now that we are watching once again that it is increasing this. So that what will happen? So they have there some kind of ambitions about the future. Since there is so much uncertainty, especially now, it is there always, but all the more that is challenging because of the pandemic and other kind of situation. So they will have a doubt what will happen to them in the future, and some of them are excessively shy. So that many of the adolescents develop that is social anxiety. This is because of the two characteristics of their cognitive development, wherein they will think the imaginary audience, that means they think that they are in the center and all others are observing them always. So that kind of idea will make them feel so others are observing. Even small mole on a face or a pimple or any changes, if they are not wearing some good dress that day, so they think, oh, everybody is talking about themselves only. So that though during this time that they are overcoming egocentrism, but this social cognition is affecting them because of these things. And also they are conforming to what others want, and assuming some of the adolescents, they don't want to antagonize their parents. They simply become submissive to the expectation. That is also affecting their identity development. Next slide, please. So that here another important characteristic features is that during adolescence, they take risk and also act impulsively. So you can see many times that is the adolescents who get into some kind of accident or some other problems, the substance abuse and many such kind of thing. Why? I told that one of the cognitive that is featured during that period is imaginary audience. Second thing that they think they're somewhat unique. So that they think whatever that if you say don't drive very fast, ride fast, they say, oh, may happen to others, it may not happen to me. So that they think that there is somebody, some superior hero, superhero, so that nothing can affect them during this period, so that they take risk and they also act impulsively without seeing the consequences. Whereas parents are more bothered about security. So this is where the conflict between the parents and children happen, because that parents they have, because of their experience, they already burnt their finger because of some kind of experiences. They try to prevent that from that experience. For these individuals, but they are not ready to listen. Oh, it might have happened to you, it may not happen to me. So this is another kind of a thing. And also that they take some kind of decision based on what is good to them at that moment. So instead of thinking about the future, what thrills them? Suppose they may have some fantasy about the future. That fantasy gives them some kind of thrill. So that becoming like that, many of them want to become wrestlers or they want to do like that, because that gives some that thrill to them. So they are thrill-seeking people, excitement, thrill, etc. And also that there will be some kind of argument in the family front, and also authority conflict. That that means they have some rebellion tendency. It is not to hurt anybody. As I told, the self-assertion is one of the important thing. So they try to exercise that. Whatever developed recently, they want to exercise. Many of the adolescents are very, very critical. You might have observed them, because that critical development is taking place during adolescence. They want to use that. So it is that without any kind of judgment or any, they keep on passing judgment without thinking the consequences of this one. So that during this phase, that they become more and more aware of their feelings, but still it is weak. So it was discussed even during social development, heterosexual relationship and other kind of thing. So getting attracted, but many times they don't know whether it is just infatuation or physical attraction or real love and commitment. So like that only, many times whatever the feeling they have, that they are trying to develop some awareness. But since it is still weak, that we can say that they are not in a position to be thoroughly aware of this. And there are several factors which have significant influence on emotional development. Whatever I discussed, the characteristics that are there for all the individuals. And coming to this one, from this chart, you can see that according to Erickson, we are having 8 stages of development. I'm not going to the details about that. The age is also given. What is that important during this period is, every phase, one new virtue will be developed. For example, when there is a crisis of trust versus mistrust, hope will be there. In the next stage, willpower, and also the purpose and the competency. And during identity versus confusion, fidelity or the commitment or the loyalty, when all these things are developed in a proper sequence, that when it is not that difficult for an adolescent during 18 to 12 to 18 to resolve the conflict. But if the unresolved conflicts are there due to some reason, that will hinder. If the child is not able to develop initiative or autonomy, that industriousness or the basic trust, the adolescents who don't have the trust in life, later they may have problem and they cannot develop intimacy that is during the next stage. So many of the people remain isolated, not because willing to accept them, that is because of their own that is lack of trust. And then even developing the identity, that in fact there are 4 types of identity status, and that you can say that on the basis of the commitment and the crisis, that is Marcia has identified for, that we can say in identity achievement. Here, whatever the identity they have to develop, adolescents on the basis of thorough understanding information, that they will successfully achieve the sense of identity. That means the career goals, educational goals, or life goals will be very clear during this time. Later, they will not face any problem because it is they are already very clear about that. In the other one, that is identity, that foreclosure, what happens sometime that there is no crisis at all. Whatever the parents tell, they will simply, that is, become submissive, they follow that. So that the values or any other kind of goals that as dictated or suggested, recommended by the parents will be accepted. So there is no problem. And in the next identity moratorium, that here you can say they're still struggling to develop that is identity. So that they are actively struggling, so that will be there. In some cases, identity diffusion, that they are not yet bothered. You ask some of the adolescents what you want to become, they are telling, I don't know. So that means there is no concern about that. So here, when it comes to that, when we say the development of the individual or the emotional development, there are various factors they are listed out in the table that is given here. I don't go to that each and every one. The broadly it is classified the risk factors and also protective factors. So some of them are there within the biological system.
Ma'am, we have got last 3 minutes left for this conversation.
Yeah, yes, I'm going to wind up. Okay. Yeah. So that we are having various factors. It may be biological, psychological within the environment, and some of the protective factors. So based on that, these factors, the individual will be actually affected by this one. And then coming to the end, so how to address? In fact, that there is a need for systemic reform. The school, that we have to follow a kind of whole school approach. That means every aspect of the school has to be given. It is not just academic. And also adolescence education has to be given, guidance and counseling programs. If the individual is having more that is emotional problems leading to depression, anxiety, he may seek professional help. But the parents and teachers are having a major role in fostering the emotional development of the individual by giving some kind of guidance and support throughout their life. So these are some of the points that I would like to I wanted to share with all of you, so that the important roles are there from the family and the school side. Otherwise, parents will be always worried, oh, I've given birth to such a big child. So now that you can see how to handle him. So that it is a challenge to the parents and the teachers also. So it is not only the challenge to the individual. So everybody has to work in team. This is what I just wanted to take. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And now I would request Kalpana ma'am to brief up to conclude this entire discussion. Ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you to all the speakers also. They have given such valuable points. I just want to say that it's not, we have taken today the four challenges and how to handle it. But it's all holistic. You know, it starts off when the child is around 10, 11 years, and then it goes on till the child becomes an adult. This adolescent stage is very holistic. The physical changes, the emotional changes, which Ramaa madam has dealt so deeply, they are connected because of the endocrinal changes that happen in the child. So the physical changes which she dealt with, the body image and what others think about, the emotional changes of imaginary world around what has to happen, the social changes, because how you need to cope with all these changes and the outside world. And finally, the child has to be productive in the school. So the academic challenges also that are taking place. All these challenges have to be looked at more holistically, and you can't pinpointedly deal with one challenge. When you are trying to deal with one challenge, it has its ripple effect even on the other challenges. So teachers and parents, we all have to help with the adolescent handhold and see that they are able to cope with this stage. They are able to address these issues and challenges so that they lead a very meaningful life, and whatever happens in the adolescence remains in their memory as an adult. That we should never forget. If we've had a comfortable sail through our adolescence, we become confident adults. So it is important. That is the reason why we took up this topic today, because adolescence should result in effective and meaningful adulthood. This confident adulthood is possible only if we have had a good adolescence. Like how we say childhood is also very important. In the same way, adolescence also is an important threshold. Then only you can cross over to adulthood. That is why we have taken this, and all the panelists have given a lot of points in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you so much to all the panel members for telling us all these challenges that adolescents face. There were innumerable points that you highlighted, and then you even addressed that how can we resolve them. There were certain tips, there were certain methods, and I'm sure all the teachers, all the parents who are watching this program, they have learned something or the other from this entire discussion. And if they are dealing with adolescents at their place, they're going to have better solutions from now on. Thank you so much once again for being with us in this program and having this wonderful discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the viewers for watching this program. If in case you have missed it, then please watch it again on NCERT Official. That is our YouTube channel. It's going to be there. And next Friday, we'll come back again with another topic, and this is our Paricharcha series where we discuss every time a topic which is related to the mental well-being of children. And if you have any suggestions, anything you want us to say to clarify, then please reach out to us. You can call on the toll-free number, which is 8844844632. And with this, we are wrapping up this particular program. Take great care of yourself. We'll see you again next Friday, same platform, same timing. Till then, thank you once again. Namaskar.